health transformation. Good evening. Welcome to another exciting day in re-engineering your health with me, Vidhi Beri, your health transformation coach. Today, we are going to discuss something very novel and different when it comes to your child and your family health. The topic is prebiotics and probiotics. Very seldom understood, most often confused and mushed up with many theories. So I'm going to put that out straight for you, how it has an impact on your health, on the larger health, and it is extremely timely and significant to talk about this now with the current scenario we face in a lockdown with all kinds of viruses and bacteria out there. So share the story on your timeline. Make sure your alerts are on for fomonomore as you continue on day 10 of this journey with us. Keeping in mind your family health, making sure that your family is a microcosm of the larger family as a whole. Now is the time to realize that the whole world is one family. And as you start to work on your family of 3, 4, 6 or 8, you are a microcosm of this large microcosm. And in this microcosm, we are all faced with our individual demons, battles, but the most invisible are the bacteria and the viruses that attack us and that lie within us. We never talk or think about all of those living organisms, active and dormant within our cells, within every single tract of our body, as a part of our gut, as a part of all our organs. And when I talk about digestion, our gut, our gastrointestinal tract, I'm talking about a microbiome environment. A microbiome environment is one where you have a live bacteria living. Good bacteria, bad bacteria, a mix of whole. Yesterday we talked about junk foods, how much to eat, how much not to eat, testing and bringing awareness within yourselves. Today, I want to acknowledge that most of us are not there yet. We are not at the numbers which I spoke about yesterday. So if we are not at that 2%, 5%, less than 10% every day, we've possibly put in a lot of bad bacteria to form our microbiome environment. So I want to ask you today, do you know family members close within your household or in your friendships, in your relatives who have a gut which seems to be troubled most of the times, who don't tend to seem to lose weight even though they're doing a whole lot of work, workouts, dieting, many things, but nothing seems to be moving. They're stuck in one place. They try drastic diets but nothing works, and then they go back to eating a whole packet of chips every single day, going back to the cake because they feel I might as well enjoy this food. And who is the most victimized in this? Our growing children. As a part of the system, as a part of their schooling, which is now full of a whole lot of processed food, as a part of them going to different kinds of parties and events where most of it is ready-made processed junk foods. So they have a whole lot of access, and it is not always possible to either say no or having effectively brainwashed them to not touch any of that food. So our toddlers, our growing children are most exposed, and in a time like that where they are exposed and their diet is possibly on days going to be more than 30%, the foods that we spoke about yesterday not to give them in terms of junk and refinement, what can we do? We can get to the solution of creating good bacteria in their gut, in their GI tract, in their digestion system, which can fight all of this, fortify the gut, and actually surge as a warrior ahead. Just like we need all our immune body digestive systems to do so in the current scenario, in the current environment that is out there, due to which we are all locked down. So it is an opportunity right now where you have control, you can actually work on this. So there are two aspects of this. One is the good bacteria that you can inculcate in your gut. The other is the food and the fibers for this bacteria. And guess what? This bacteria eats fibers that are not humanly digestible, but because these bacteria find home in your gut, this food and this fiber that I'm talking about becomes digestible to your gut because this bacteria exists there. What am I talking about? Let's talk simply. I'll take a simple example. All of you know what kidney beans are. So in India, we have a normal practice of soaking kidney beans overnight. Sometimes my kids feel like eating it for lunch and they just wake up and they're like, can we just have kidney beans today? Maybe we can just pressure cook it for 4 hours. It'll become soft and then we can eat it. But what they don't know, that this age-old Indian practice of actually soaking the kidney beans is because of the fibers in them. It's because of the phytic acids that we need to dilute over the 16 to 18 hours, which is when it becomes fit for human digestion. And even after that, legumes have certain fibers that only a good developed microbiome environment can deal with. So, coming to these fibers and the good bacteria is what we call prebiotics and probiotics. Probiotics clearly defined as the good bacteria in a microbiome of a cell or an environment in one of the parts of your body. Today we are mostly talking about the gut and the digestive system. The prebiotics, however, are slightly different. Prebiotics are the food for these live yeast bacteria in your system. So now, what are the foods that we are going to choose to combat the issues of digestion, combat the issues of low immunity, making our children vibrant and buoyant, making our elderly stronger to fight diseases that are within the body and outside? Because remember, the foods that we are eating, if we have no control and we haven't learned the math yet, has created a whole lot of bad bacteria, and what's happening in the bargain is that bad bacteria is eating up everything that is nutritious and asking for more sugars, more refinement, and building walls around it, building sugar coatings around it, sialic acids, which do indeed in many cases turn into formations, tumors, and other dangerous entities in your body. So today I'm going to give you a few examples that you can take back home, absolutely incorporate for yourselves, for your children, and for other people in your family. Like I said, you are a microcosm in a larger universal macrocosm, and all of us in our families can do these things in small ways to fortify an entire large family of the universe that we have. So let's start with the first one, which is very simple. You all know and have heard about it, is flax seeds. Flax seeds, high in omega-3, usually known for helping you secrete estrogen, is actually a great prebiotic food, which is great food for all the yeast bacteria inside your gut, and it helps the flora and fauna become stronger. So flax seeds, half a teaspoon every day, sprinkled on your salad, powdered and put into your rotis, into your breads. Perfect way to eat it. So very, very simple. You can give it to children, you can give it to adults, as long as you stay within the half a teaspoon limit. Absolutely safe to eat. Then coming to something that is a very standard Indian practice is sirka with onion. Sirka is a colloquial name for vinegar, fermented vinegar with fermented circular small round onions, and usually you will find this as a pickle lying with lunch or dinner, and this acts as a great prebiotic because it fortifies the gut. It is a standard practice to be eaten with a lot of rich North Indian food and is usually coupled with a slice of lemon. But this really, really helps cool the gut and the system. And I want you to start using this on your table every single day, because if a family is eating together, it's a very, very easy pickup for everyone to include in their diet. Whether they take a little bit of the juices or they take an onion, whatever they take, the liquid or the solid part of it, it is going to help fortify the gut and is almost 99% works for everyone. Now, enhancing this to something that you haven't heard of, that is known as Chatabari. That's the Indian herbal name for it. It is the root of something that's very familiar to you, the root of asparagus. As a root, what we find that this highly enhances not only your gut, but all of our women's vanity, because it improves our hair, it works on our bone marrow, and it absolutely strengthens the entire osteosystem while working on the gut. So these are our 3 magical foods which make our body ready to give our good bacteria some good fibrous food that make our bodies able to digest everything. Our metabolic systems work better, and soon enough you will see any of those weight issues, those digestive issues will absolutely vanish. Now coming to the second part of it, the probiotics. If you don't have the yeast and you don't have the bacteria, how are you going to figure this out? You absolutely need those probiotics to make sure that they are cultured in the body. Of course, we know there are lots and lots of drinks out there now in the name of kombucha. We have a lot of processed things out there. Yogurt is one which has live yeast in it. The one I like, which is very, very age-old Indian recipe, and 2 formats, one for children, one for adults. Any guesses on what that might be? Well, some of you might come up with it. It is called kanji. Kanji, or fermented water with either a millet or a grain kept overnight, or in North India, very, very famously done with mustard seeds and some root vegetables. Of course, just like we have umpteen number of states in India, we have an umpteen number of recipes for kanji. And I'm going to share 2 variations of this with you today so that you can go incorporate it at home very, very easily. Number 1 is a simple one that all of us can do, and we can incorporate it in the diet of our children. And that is kanji with a millet, like a foxtail millet or a ragi, or just soft white rice. Soak it overnight, and in the morning, when you wake up, take the water, boil the water with a little bit of rock salt, add a spoon of fat, for example ghee, and a very, very small glass, just drink that. It acts as a fat, it acts as a fortifier, it acts as a probiotic early in the morning. For children, rice kanji is appropriate. For adults, you can go into more intense millet kanjis. And of course, don't throw away the grain, use it in your cooking. So this is one way that you can absolutely do it easily with the food that's already available. Not very difficult, not too much of a science to get into. The second part of this is again traditional cultural recipes in India, such as using beetroot and carrot. Now beetroot and carrot is high natural sugar, so it fulfills your sugar taste buds. But also we slice it nicely, we keep the peels on because there's a lot of active alive yeast in there. And then we take some mustard seeds, we pour some water in a jar where we sliced and kept the beetroot and the carrot and the water and the mustard seeds, which we have kind of used a rolling pin, not to completely powder it, but really, really mash it up and make it a little finer than it normally is. Use the mustard seeds, use the water, cover the jar and allow it to ferment for a few days. Now, obviously, people have used this to make yummy things. They use the out of the kanji, they do a whole lot of variations to make it tasty and savory dishes as well. But the kanji on its own is where the good bacteria lie. The kanji on its own is what is going to make your gut develop and become a beautiful yeast garden in your body. So we are really, really working on the flora and fauna of your digestion, your gut, and your overall immune system, because if the overall immune system is not having a live good bacteria, and then through prebiotics you're not putting the good food in there for that bacteria to thrive, and instead we are putting everything, like we said, that was acidic, refined, sugars that are not natural in nature, what tends to happen? This bacteria has no reason and has no food to survive, and then it is replaced by all the bad bacteria that feeds off food that is absolutely not natural to the body and starts to destroy the natural flora and fauna. So then what does your gut look like? It looks like a weed garden. Dismally looks like a weed garden. So today's challenge for all of you is twofold. One is to take one prebiotic and one probiotic from the ones I listed. If it's simple enough, you can start with flax seeds. If you have the sirka onion, which you'd never realized was so important, include that. Or call for some Chatabari and include that in your diet with a little bit of almond milk or in hot water. Now, the second part is the probiotic as a kanji. Of course, there are things like kombucha that is available out there, which is fine too. So any ones that I have recommended or ones that are out there, make them a part of your daily diet. But as we make sure that this flora and fauna need to survive, we also have to have the intent to make that garden beautiful and unweeded. No weeds in there. And for that, there has to be intent, there has to be affirmation. So today we are going to delve into the idea of a positive affirmation, a mindful activity in which we affirm to our inner self, to our inner awareness, to our gut, because everything begins at the gut. The gut is the seat of your emotion. So the positive affirmation for today is I am well and I will thrive. I am well and I will thrive. Say this out loud to your children, to your families, to your spouses, to your partners. I am well and I will thrive. And write it. And the magical number when it comes to mindfulness and doing activity with discipline every single day is about 21 times. So keep the magical number in mind. Take a pencil or a pen, and if you don't have any, take the palm of your hand, use your fingers, because the subconscious resonates with writing. Remember when you were really little and you had to write a, b, k, d. Even though the language had no logic, you had to repeat it every single day by saying it and then writing it in cursive. And the reason we did that is because the subconscious mind completely takes it in as a sponge. So 21 affirmations, I am well and I will thrive, will make your mental prebiotics and probiotics alive, so that the garden of wellness, which you are fortifying with the nutritional prebiotics and probiotics, thrives and survives. So I request you to actually get the smallest writing member of your family and the oldest writing member of your family to start writing this physically. And whoever cannot write, let's say it's a 2-year-old, they can absolutely recite it, because children do beautifully with recitation and song. And with children, the song that comes in becomes family time, becomes an activity, and they tend to repeat a whole lot. So you don't have to say 21 times. If it catches their imagination, they're already going to do it many times on repeat. And that's a great reaffirmation for you to think it, to feel it, to smile at the flora and fauna and the garden of your wellness. So these are the activities for you to thrive today. And interestingly, we are going to move on to a very contentious topic of concentration, building concentration and screen time tomorrow. And that is absolutely necessary in a time where we have more than 50% surge of data usage and internet usage in the last month or two. And it is very important to understand what we can do about it, what should we or should we not do anything about it, and the consequences on our physical, nutritional, mental, mindful health. And that's a discussion we need to have for our children, for ourselves, and for the elderly who may or may not actually use any gadgets. So tomorrow is going to be exciting. It's going to be a mental war between me and you, because you're going to have a lot of no's and yes in your mind. But for today, work on the internal garden, work on the internal flora and fauna. Use those prebiotics, probiotics, and write those affirmations. If you feel you can come up with one of your own that's more intuitive, please do so. But remember the magic number and the magic lines for your amazing health going forward. I hope you had an amazing take back from today, because this is really a regenerational subject. Thank you so much for being here. Have a good night and see you tomorrow. Make sure you have your alerts on to follow all the sessions with fomonomore. Good night to everyone.